Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Can Do Links to Learning on this chilly afternoon here in Misquitchie, Waskagan, Edmonton, Treaty 6. I hope wherever you are, you're not experiencing your third or fourth winter, which I feel like has come upon us this week. But regardless of the weather outside, regardless of what's going on in our lives, we just want to take a moment to acknowledge the goodness Creator brings into our lives every day. Every day. So we think of that sun rising in the east, Creator meeting us for this day. We think of all the gifts. We think of the land, Mother Earth, the waters, the animals, the plants, all of the sacred medicines that have been given to us. And of course, we think of our circle, our communities, our families, our home fires. So there is a lot to be thankful for and a lot of goodness that is in our lives. So we give thanks to Creator for the gift of this moment and all the goodness in our lives. So welcome. We're glad you're here. Today's conversation, I think everybody needs this. It's a refresher, it's a reminder, and it is about banking basics with Karen Paul. And as soon as I read the description of today's workshop, I actually called up my bank and set up a meeting because we got things to talk about. So it's a good reminder, to have a good relationship with your bank, to have some good understanding about your options there as well. So just for those who are here, reminding you that there are, I believe there's two $50 Visa gift cards. So how you can get your name entered to win one of those gifts is by filling out the evaluation link that will be sent to you after today's presentation. We always love to hear your feedback. And we're always so thankful that you have chosen to join us. So thank you for being here, and please fill out those evaluations after today's workshop. So this workshop is about banks and banking and the choices that are available to you. You'll learn about personal bank accounts and which type might best suit you and your money needs. You'll learn about what a bank can do for you and how it can save you money. And I think that is really key there. What can a bank do for you, not the other way around? So Karen Paul is our guest speaker. She's the Indigenous Adult Learning and Literacy Program Coordinator for JEDI. She has been working with JEDI, which is Joint Economic Development Initiative, for the last 5 years. So in her role, she provides Indigenous Workplace Essential Skills, digital literacy, financial literacy, so important, Upskills for work, and job search technique workshops to Indigenous clients across New Brunswick to help them bridge the gap between where they are presently and in the workplace. So she holds a bachelor's degree in community information systems. Look at that, Karen. That's amazing. So we're really honored that you're here to share your knowledge, share what you know. And I'm just going to pass this virtual mic to you. If you do have any questions, anyone, feel free to use that chat box. And there is an opportunity at the end for any questions and answers or comments. We always love to hear from you. So here's the mic to you, Karen. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me. It's been a while since I've had a financial literacy delivery to organization outside of communities. So it's really an exciting day for me. So what we're going to cover today is a workbook that we normally deliver in person, but since working for JEDI and since the COVID outbreak, I've put all of this information on our online virtual platform, which is Google Classroom. And I'd like to share, I'm going to share my screen because that's where all of my material is. And I'd like for you to look at the program, look at the workbook as we work through it, so I can talk about the cover in it and all of that. So so I'm Karen Paul. I've been with JEDI for the last 5-6 years or so. I came as just a simple digital literacy trainer. And that kind of just evolved into falling into the role of adult literacy coordinator once Ashley had left to go do other things. So I'm really happy that I'm here. And just give me 1 second. And I live in New Brunswick. Well, I used to live in New Brunswick, but I'm on the Penobscot Nation in Maine right today. And that's where I'm delivering because I have a house there. And I was staying in Fredericton while I was working for JEDI at the same time. So today I'm here. And that's why the first time we had a little trouble with the time change and all of that. So I'm really glad we got that straightened out. So I'm just going to share my screen here and see, let's see. Portion, PowerPoint. My screen. Okay, so I'm going to make this small and I'm going to go into the classwork for financial literacy. So because of the COVID outbreak, we had to put all of this stuff online and find an online platform to do all of that. So do I have an hour or do I have an hour and a half or 2?
You have an hour.
An hour. Okay, so we got to make this quick. So this is the workbook 1, creating a spending plan. That was the first webinar. This is banking basics today. So we're going to look at the PDF. I'm going to minimize the screen so it's not in my way. I have changed computers since being in the office, so I'm just going to see what I need to have to open this. Okay, so here it is, Money Matters for Indigenous people. So we've, the JEDI has partnered with ABC Life Literacy to deliver this program that is so great. They've created it for Indigenous people and it's great. This is Leah Dorion from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. She's a Métis artist. She's done the cover of all 4 of these workbooks. Great, beautiful design on the front of it. So we're just going to kind of go through it here a little quickly. Not quickly, but I'm going to read through it and just kind of say that they've designed it for Indigenous people to help better take care of yourself by better taking care of your money. So when you feel good about your money management, you're less stressed and you have more energy for the things that are important to you and your family. So ABC Life Literacy helps Canadians get the tools that they need to increase their literacy so they can live a fully engaged life. So whether that's home, whether that's on reserve, whether that's on, in community, whether it's in cities or whatever, the more you get better control of your money, the better you're going to be all around. So for this program, we work with the Wabano Center for Aboriginal Health. The Wabano Center for Health provides health services, education, and cultural events for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities in Ottawa. They made sure Money Matters was helpful for Canadians and Canadian Indigenous people. Oh dear, that wasn't supposed to happen. I'll call you back. So when you're done the program, you'll have some new knowledge and have some questions, but hopefully we'll have all of the answers as we work through the program. So banking basics, exactly, there's a place for me, but where? So when we're done with this program today, hopefully you'll know your banking choices and to, have better choices as to what's best for you. So this workbook is about banks and banking and the choices that are available to you. We're going to learn about personal bank accounts and which type might best suit you and your money needs. We're also going to learn about what a bank can do for you instead of what you can do for your bank and how it can save you money. So a personal bank account is a safe place to put your money and help you save. Hopefully everyone does have a bank account, If you don't, it's easy enough to go open up a bank account. There are personal bank accounts, there are savings accounts, checking accounts, and a combination of both. They're called combo accounts. So what to do? Check out the statement that best applies to you, and gives you a chance to think about where you are in your life. Think about your money, your family, and your life as it is today. And where do you go when you need money or you have a check to cash? And that's the question, right? A lot of people, when I've given this program before, didn't have a bank account. And by the time that we were done, they went and got a bank account. So, where do you go when you need to cash a check? Some people get direct deposits, so there's no checks in the mail or anything. I just got a check yesterday from my rentalsman. I got my damage deposit back in full. I was a good girl. Got my rent back, and now that's a Canadian check. So what do I do when I'm in the US with that check? It makes you think, like, how are you going to deposit that? Do I have to drive all the way to Fredericton, up to Canada to deposit that? Well, no, I don't, because I have an app that takes care of that. So, but for other people, maybe they didn't have that. One, you could go to a cash store. Two, you could go to a teller at a bank. Three, you could use a bank machine. And four, none of the applies for me. Here's my situation. So some people would say, I don't have a bank account, and or I have a bank account and it's just savings, just so that I can cash my check and put money in. But they really don't know, all of the ins and outs of the benefits of having a bank account. So a cash store is a business that cashes checks or lends you money, but that includes a fee, such as a payday loan or a cash advance. And if any of us have used those, we know how bad they are and how bad they can become like a cycle, because you use up all your money one week, or you get the money one week and you spend it all. And then the next week you're going to get money, but you can't really use it because now you got to pay back the loan that you got from that week. So now it makes you short on your check for the next week. And it's just a vicious cycle. That's what I mean about becoming a really bad thing. The fees are often much more than you would pay at a bank. So when you're talking about money, does it make you feel uncomfortable? Anyone in the group want to comment on that? When you talk about money, does it make you feel kind of, I don't want to really talk about it, or it's kind of personal, or it's my business, or Nanya, or however you might think. For a lot of people, it makes it feel uncomfortable, yes, because maybe they may not feel as good as the next person. They may feel ashamed, maybe because they're in a bad situation and they got to resolve it somehow by coming into the bank. Maybe they're feeling bad because they aren't doing as well as someone else, as the next person, or as a chief and council down the road, and you're trying to keep up with the chief and council, keep up with the Joneses, and you're having a hard time doing that because you never can. Right? It's too far-fetched for just normal people that have a regular job and living week to week paycheck kind of thing. Or are you saving a little bit, which you should be? So thinking about that question is how does it make you feel? And what do you think might put people more at ease when they do have to go into the bank? I know personal experience. I've had a lot of, I had to go up. I had to try to get a loan for a mini home because I was living next to my brother. I had to go into the bank and find out what you have to do to get a loan. What do I have to do to buy a home? And so we went through that whole thing. But having somebody at the bank that was comfortable enough to talk to me and let me know what was going to happen, the next steps. You got to apply for this, you got to fill this out, you got to apply for that, you got to make sure that everything's all in order. And once everything's all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, then everything works out very well. So what would make you feel more comfortable going to a bank? I mentioned that one time that I think that if they have Indigenous banks, wouldn't that be awesome? Or they would have Indigenous tellers, like they do at the Royal Bank. The Royal Bank has Indigenous tellers, and they have a really good Indigenous program there for their employees. Yay, Royal Bank. So it's beautiful, Royal Bank, what they do for their Native employees and for their people that work there. So many people think all banks are the same. They think that they all offer the same services for the same price, but that's not true. A bank takes cash deposits, it lends money, and it provides other money services. You can set up a personal bank account at a bank. A bank is a financial institution. So there's lots of money words in this workshop today. There's, and just keep an eye on it, because when you start talking money words, you're going to want to know about that when you go into the bank to maybe change one of your bank accounts, or once you realize what you have, or once you realize on one of your loans, if you're paying too much interest, or maybe perhaps you could ask the bank for an interest rate drop, and they do it, what happens? But, that's all money words and great information. So a bank is like just that, a financial institution. Other financial institutions are trust companies, credit unions, and casse populaires. So this workbook is really meant for in-person bank lingo, bank bingo, and we're supposed to have a card and all of that. So I just kind of go through the wording of it. So a savings account is an account where you earn interest on the money that you put into it. So you got $100, it's burning a hole in your pocket, and what do you do with it? Do you let it burn a hole and you run to the store so you can spend it, or do you take it to the bank and put it in your savings account for a rainy day? That's up to you. You could put it into your checking account so you can pay your light bill online through your bank and mobile banking app. That's another thing that you can do. But a savings account is an account where you earn interest on the money, and you're typically meant to save money in that account. A checking account is an account where you can write checks, pay bills, and do other personal money tasks, and it pays little or no interest. Checking account is also available for when you do online transactions. So if you're going to save pay your light bill or pay your cable bill or whatever, you can pay that online through your checking account. A combination account is a part savings and a part checking account. So this is bank bingo, bank lingo. So if you have one of these and you have ones that you can answer yes to them all the way across, then you have a bingo. If you have them all the way down, you can have a bingo. You can have them like a letter X if you have like vertically or diagonally. However, I have a piece of photo ID. Yes. I have a checking account. Yes. I have, and this you can go along with yourself, just check off in your mind if you get them or not. I have a paycheck that directly is deposited into your banking account. Yes. I write checks. No, I don't. So there goes my line for a chance on the top line. And I use a spending plan or a budget. Yes. I pay cash when buying things. I pay when with a debit card when buying things. I pay with a credit card when buying things. I use a bank machine. Yes. I keep my PIN and password secret. You should be, and definitely yes. I save for an emergency. Yes. I have a savings account that I should be putting more money. Oh, that didn't add that in there, but I want to say that I should be putting more money into, but I have a savings account. And of course, the middle spot is free. I shop around to get the best bank account deals. And I know the fee when a check is NSF, or bouncy bounce. I do my banking in person at a bank. I do my banking online on the telephone. I do my banking on the telephone, or I do banking online. I have a credit card. I owe money on a credit card or a loan. I check my bank books or statements, which is very important. I know the interest rate of my store credit card. Yes, that's very important. I read the information box on a bill. That tells you what your details are on your credit limits and your interest rates. I know the fees for a payday loan or a cash advance, and I talk to a bank employee to get questions answered. So if you can get yourself a bingo, then that's great. But that's just a little bit of bank lingo and what we're talking about today. So Skylar and Crystal. Skylar received a tax credit in the mail from the government of Canada. He's short on cash and he needs the money for rent. There's a bank open across the street, but he figures it won't cash his check since he doesn't have an account there. He really wants the money right now. He used the cash drawer before to get a payday loan, so Skylar decides to go there. Good idea or bad idea? Probably a bad idea. The most expensive form of credit is the pay advance loan. After you add the fees and the service charges onto the interest, these loans can cost you upwards between 700 and 1,000%. which is knocked me over crazy. Crystal, on the other hand, and her partner have 2 children, a 3-year-old son and a baby girl. She receives her monthly Canada Child Benefit check. She's thinking about starting a savings account for extra things the kids need as they grow older, and maybe deposit her Canada Child Benefit check into the account each month. Crystal doesn't have the extra money right now to set it up. She thinks she has to wait until she does. So what's your story? You can think about that for a second. Just remember those, Crystal and Skylar, because they're going to be coming back up in short moments. So if you borrow $100 for a pay advance loan and the cost of the loan, let's say ends up being 700%, how much are you going to pay? So how to figure it out? So look at the percentage and multiply that by the original amount borrowed. So if we say it's 700%, the original amount borrowed is 100, that's $70,000. You take that $70,000 and divide it by 100. So if you borrow $100 for a pay advance loan and the cost of the loan ends up being 700%, you're going to pay $700 in fees to borrow $100. So you'll still need to pay back the money that you borrowed. So in total, you'll pay $100 plus that $700, which is $800. And that's a whole lot of money to borrow $100. Percentages are parts of 100. There we come with the math. We never thought we'd use it again, right? But we are, here we are. Percentages are parts of 100. Another way to say it is 10 out of 100 or 30 out of 100. So the little symbol is a little circle and a line and a circle. And some examples are 10% equals 10 out of 100. 89 is 89 out of 100. So work with a partner and figure out how much you will pay if the loan ends up being 1,000%. So we talk about that. You know, if it's 700% is $700, then 1,000% is going to be $1,000 in fees, which is super ridiculous. It should be against the law. And I think they closed down a lot of those stores. Now they're not allowed to operate like that because they're so predatory and they're ridiculous in trying to pay them back. So page 8 introduced us to a percentage as a math calculation to determine how much it costs to borrow money. And we all need to borrow money from time to time, but it's important to know how much a loan can cost. Percent is a mathematical number that means parts of 100. So to figure out the cost of borrowing, you multiply the percentage by the amount borrowed. Percentage is represented by the percent number divided by 100. So for an example, a loan is given to you for 5% annual interest. To determine 5% as a decimal, use your calculator or on your phone or whatever to divide 5 by 100. A percent can also be represented by a fraction, we remember. So 5% as a fraction is 5 out of 100. 5%, the little percentage sign, as a decimal is 0.05. So to calculate the interest that you're going to pay in 1 year, you multiply this 5% or 0.05 times the amount of the loan. So if it's $100 that you borrowed, then 5% of that is $7.50. That's what it's going to cost you to borrow that money. That's going to be the cost of the loan. Then add the total interest to the amount of the loan to calculate how much you have to pay back. So the amount of the loan is, they give you 150. You have to pay them back 157.50 because that interest gets added on to the principal. And that's what it's cost. That's what it is that original cost of 150. That's the principal amount of the loan. That's how much they're lending you. And the interest is $7.50. So now we can try it with these ones. So the amount of the loan is $40 and the interest rate is 15%. So can anyone tell me what the amount of interest will be on that first one? So you take 40 and multiply it by 15%. It should be $6, I believe. Right. So let's see about the other one. The amount of loan is $200 and it's 25%. You take your calculator, say 200 times 0.25. Oh, I get 575. That's not right. 200 times 0.25, 50. It's going to be $50 added on. And then $300 would be 300 times 0.30, which is $90. So the amount of the loan is 300. You add the $90 for the interest rate, and then you'll have to pay back $390. So that's kind of how that works. When you're thinking about getting a loan, you're going to try to get a loan that has the lowest interest rate. But when you're actually putting your own money into an account, you're going to want the highest interest rate that they're going to pay. So keep attention to that. So when you're going in and you're putting your money into the bank, that's going to be interest rate is when you're going to want to be higher, because they're going to pay you interest for you to store your money there. But the other way around is when you're getting a loan or something and you're borrowing money, you want that interest rate to be as low as it can so that you don't have to pay back as much. So read the statement below. A Canadian bank must cash your Government of Canada check for free, even if you're not a customer. True or false? Some people say true, some people say false. But through the show of hands, and we only have a couple of folks here, who thinks it's true? And the answer is true. So a Government of Canada check is a check that's issued to you from the federal government. Here are some examples of Government of Canada checks. So EI, GST or HST credit, your income tax refund, old age security, and your Canada Child Benefit checks. Those are all Government of Canada checks that you can cash at any bank for free. So where do you cash your Government of Canada checks? And do you have to pay to have them cashed? And how much do you pay? So a lot of times on reserve here, across New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and I think, mostly on all reserves is usually the local town would have their grocery store allow you to cash your check there if you spend, let's say, 10% of your check there. Or they might let you cash it there for your welfare check maybe, or whatever kind of check, for maybe a $5 fee or a $10 fee, something like that. But, they can make their own policy at what they want, but if you take it to a bank, you won't have to pay any of that, or you won't have to spend 10% of your check on groceries to cash your check, which you probably should anyway. In 2 surveys of Canadians who use cash stores, almost a third of the people cash Government of Canada's checks that they could have cashed free at any bank. So that's cash stores. So they must take in they could make money off that. And people sometimes are naive and they may not know that you can do that. So they charge them whatever they want when they know wholeheartedly that they can just go to the bank. So under Canadian law, you have the right to cash your Government of Canada check for free. Number 2, you can cash a Government of Canada check for free at any bank, even if you're not a customer. 3, you can cash a Government of Canada check at any bank branch in Canada that has tellers. And if your check is for more than $1,500, a bank can decide not to cash it. And that's at their own discretion. It's not anything, not any rhyme or reason to it, but they can just flatly deny to cash that. And the provincial checks are all different according to your territory's rules. So I'm not exactly sure what they are across Canada or whatever, but I don't think they're quite the same. I don't know if you can just go into any bank or whatnot. But I know for the federal government checks you can. So what do I need to cash my Government of Canada check at any bank? You need 1 piece of photo ID, and a photo ID has your picture and your address or something like your signature on it. So your driver's license or your provincial ID or something like that. And I even believe that your status card has a photo ID on it. What if you don't have a photo ID? You can still cash your Government of Canada check by showing 2 other pieces of ID. That may not have your picture on them, but at least you have 2 other pieces of ID. What if I don't have 2 other pieces of ID? then someone can vouch for you. That means that to give you their word that it is actually you. You have to know that person at the bank. And sometimes that's an easy thing in a small community, and other times it's not so easy. So it's best just to have your ID in your wallet at all times. Photo ID is a piece of ID that has your photo and your signature on it. A driver's license is an example of a photo ID. So what other kinds of groups other people have for types of IDs? Make a list. So we're going to look at this list right here. So yes, you can have a driver's license in Canada, a social insurance number card, which they don't assign anymore. They just give you the number. A Canadian birth certificate, a current passport, an old age security card with a social insurance number on it, a debit card or a bank card that has your signature on it, a Canadian credit card that has your name and signature on it, a certificate of Indian status, a certificate of Canadian citizenship, or certification of naturalization. So that would be a border document if you're trying to come from another country and you're allowed entry in, and they give you a certificate of Canadian citizenship, or they'll give you a certificate of naturalization. And a permanent resident card, like if you were in US, you'd get like what's known as a green card. But you could get in Canada a permanent resident card as well, and that would allow you to reside in Canada. So if you don't have ID, talk to me about how you can get a piece of ID and then apply for it. So I can help you with that if anyone has any issues. So remember Matthew's story, how we talked about earlier. Read together the statements below about him and discuss the questions. So Matthew wants to set up a savings account, but he isn't sure the bank will let him right now since he doesn't have the extra money to put in the account at the moment. Does he have to wait? What do you think? You think he has to wait? Can't see anyone else, but no, he doesn't have to wait. He can open up that account right that day. He just needs to open it with not any money in it. Consolation prize, don't worry. Okay, so no, he doesn't. So suppose Matthew doesn't have a job. Does that mean the bank won't let him open up the account? If you don't have a job and you go in to try to open up a bank account, will they let you open it? Yeah, that's right. They will. They have to. So suppose Matthew had fallen on hard times and declared bankruptcy. Do you think the bank will allow him to open up a bank account? Yes, they can. So as long as they've, declared the bankruptcy and they've taken care of it, and or they're in the process of taking care of it, they can still open up that bank account. So your money rights. It's good to know what your rights are. Under Canadian law, you have the right to open a personal bank account. You can open up an account even if you don't have a job, you don't have any money to put in the account right away, and you have been bankrupt. So it's good to know that, because sometimes in order to get money, you have to have an account to get that money. And how are you going to get that money if you don't have an account? It's like a vicious cycle. So open up the account even if there's no money, and then maybe money will come and just kind of fall into your account. That's what we hope for anyway. Online banking is when you do your banking on a computer connected to the internet. You heard the words telebanking. It's when you do your banking on your phone, call up and says, do you want to pay your bill? And it takes you through a bunch of steps, and then you can do the same things on that phone call as you can if you're online. You can set up your personal bank account so that you can do your banking on your computer or on your phone. So I have an RBC app. I got the check yesterday. I deposited it all the way from here in Maine. I did it all on my phone, and within seconds, the money was deposited. Beautiful feature, not available in the USA. So is it hard to open a bank account? If you have a bank account, what has been your experience? So anyone had any problems opening up a bank account? I know I did one time over here. I had an account at a TD, and it was closed and paid off, but it was still, it looked like it was a bad checking account still, that it wasn't updated in the system. So when I went to open up a new one, that was marked me as having a bad account, and they wouldn't allow me to open the bank account.
Like I said, that was in the US. That may not happen in Canada. What steps will Matthew need to take to open up his bank account? Easy. He needs to go to the bank with his ID and talk to a teller to tell them, I'd like to open up my bank account. Answers. Matthew needs to go in person of the bank to the bank of his choice, and he needs to show the bank his ID. So you can set up a savings account. You can earn a little interest on the money that you put in it. You can set up a checking account. You'll be able to write checks, pay bills, and do other personal money tasks on this account, and you'll learn little or no interest. You can set up a combination account. This account is part savings and part checking. You'll be able to do your personal money tasks and earn a little bit of interest at the same time. So remember, bank accounts are products like anything else. Shop around for them. Compare perks and prices. Make sure you're getting the best account for you. I know that at one time, you could go to RBC or you could go to Bank of Montreal, and they would be offering like phone or a tablet, or, you know, my friend still has a little iPad mini that she got when she opened up her account. So all different kinds of banks offer all different kinds of perks. So if they offer you a $200 bonus by opening up a checking account with them, and after having 3 successful deposits into your account, hey, they'll give you a free 200 bucks. So that's pretty good if you have direct deposit anyway. So that's one way. Others, you know, give you, you know, free phones, free iPads, free tablets, you know, free toasters, I think, free those little speakers, wireless speakers. Maybe they're giving out little battery packs, extended life battery packs for your phone. So you could, if you run out of battery, you can, you know, plug this thing in and you'll have enough battery in your phone again. But yeah, shop around because they all offer a little different perks and whatnot. You can get a low-cost bank account. I don't know if you've heard of those. You'll pay a fee, but you'll get some services included with that account. So when I say that, I'm highlighting some because there's not very many. The fee is $4 a month or less. You're going to pay extra fees if you use more services or transactions per month that you are allowed or that are a part of the low-cost account. If you set up a low-cost account, be sure to know what those fees are. So when I first came back to Canada after being away for a while, I was using my debit card after I moved up there. I was using like there was no tomorrow. Finally, I looked at my account. I was like, it was $70 in fees. I was like, what the heck's going on? Well, it was because I had a low-cost bank account before because I hadn't used it very often. But since I've been back, I went over that limit and I was getting charged $5 a pop for using my card. So know what you have and know what your fees are, because those fees could add up really fast and get you in lots of trouble. If you notice that your money's dwindling down and and you're not really sure why, look at your statements. Make sure that your statements are all things that you've done, that you know, there's no chance of your account being hacked by cyber criminals or anything like that. So always look at your statements and it'll tell you in detail what you've done throughout the month. So you'll pay extra fees if you use more services per month and are part of it, and you should know about the extra fees. So what are you going to get with a low-cost bank account? There's no extra fees to deposit money. You can use a debit card. You can write checks. You get a statement or a bank book showing the money that you put into the account and what you took out in the month. You usually get 8 to 15 debit transactions per month for free, and at least 2 of them face-to-face with a teller. And many banks offer their services in packages. So you pay a monthly fee and you get a bunch of things. Pick the package that makes the most sense for you and your life right now, and it'll end up saving you money. So by me, you know, looking at my debit, I found out that there was a way that I could change that. And instead of paying a low-cost $4 account, I now pay $12.95, but I could use that card unlimited amounts during the month. So think about your own money needs and your goals and what personal bank account best suits you and why. Why would it be? Like, because if you don't even have one right now and you have a piggy bank, well, now you might need a bank account just to save that, keep that money safe. Do you have a bank account right now? Is there anyone here that doesn't have a bank account? Because there are people out there, because I am an adult literacy teacher, adult learning, I work with a lot of adults, and believe it or not, there were some in there that didn't have a bank account. So, knowing about which ones are out there is important. A debit transaction is when you take money out of your account, such as when you write a check, such as when you use a bank machine, such as when you are paying with a debit card at your favorite store, Walmart. So this is a little partner theme thing. It's just a crossword puzzle, but I really don't do it. I just kind of go through it. So looking at the words on the left, what do you think would the answers would be on the right? So what a bank charges you for using a bank account, what would a bank charge you for using the bank account? Anyone? They're going to charge you fees. 2, you earn little or no interest on this account. You can pay bills and write checks from it. That's going to be your checking account, because there's not going to be hardly any interest earned on that, because there's money that's going in and out so quickly. What a bank pays you for keeping money in your account, that's going to be interest. So the bank pays you when you keep your money in their account, and when you are borrowing money from the bank, that's when you are going to want a lower interest rate. So this account is part savings, part checking. That's going to be your combination account. And you might earn a small amount of interest on the money you put in this account. You can make deposits and withdraw money. That's going to be your savings account. So, well, like I said, you have a small interest rate on those usually. So when you're thinking about getting a bank account, some of the things that you can consider, are there branches and bank machines for that bank that are nearby you? And what are their banking hours? Are there going to be something that suits you? Are you in your office from 8 to 4:30? Are you at school from 9 until 3? And the bank is only open until 3:30 or something. That's not going to work for you, because you're never going to be able to go into the bank. So find a bank that works with your hours. What are the bank fees for the account that you want? Do you want just a simple fee account? Or do you want one that has a little bit more flexibility? What are the bank fees for the account that you want? What are the charges for NSF? What are the monthly fees that you're going to pay? What are the over the limit fees? Let's per se, if you did get a regular inexpensive account, and how much are those going to cost you each time that you go over the limit? How much interest will I get on my savings account? You should know that when you open up the account, they'll tell you what the rate is. Can I write checks? Well, if you order them from the bank, yes, you can. Do I pay a fee? Yes, you do, because nothing's free. So usually they may give you 10 or so complimentary ones, but they won't have your return address on them, and they're a little bit harder to use, but they certainly will. And does it cost me money to order checks? Yes, it does. They're $20 for like 500, or $40 for like 500, something like that anyway. But they do cost, and you can order them online as well. Will I pay extra if I use a different bank's bank machine, and how much? So right now I have got a great banking machine where I've got, I can use any bank machine, and it's free. So even if I pay $4 to use that ATM card that day, the next day I'll get $4 back in my account. So that's perfect. But I haven't seen any other place that does that yet. So sometimes your fee is going to be whatever you pay at the machine plus whatever your bank charges you. Could be $3, could be $2, not sure. Is the bank staff friendly and willing to answer your questions? And that's really important. You don't want to be disrespected. You don't want to be, felt to feel less than because we're native or anything like that. So if they are not feeling, you're not feeling it, or you're feeling, uncomfortable there's lots of other banks that are willing to take your money and treat you really nice. So what's the best savings account? It's the one that pays you the most interest. And what's the best checking account? It's the one that charges you the lowest fees. So what do you want to know about a bank before you set up an account? And what's more important to you? Use the list that you made with the group to get ideas, and write down the questions you would ask at the bank based on your own needs. So I went through it and looked, not exactly sure what page we're on, but we're getting, let's see here. Yeah, I think I wrote it down in here. Okay, so let's just continue through here. Banks are about people. 2, pick a bank where you feel like you're being treated well. Brainstorm a list of questions that the bank employee might ask a person. Don't really do this one in person, but it's just, going through it and acting out, setting up a personal bank account. So one person plays it, acting it out. So you walk up and say, I'd like to open up a bank account. And they say, okay, do you have your ID and what type of account would you like, and all of that. So did we all learn something new about banking that you didn't know? Maybe something that surprised you today? Do you feel more comfortable about using your bank or about talking to your folks at your bank now? What would you like to learn or know or do that would increase your confidence about banking? And share your thoughts with the group members if there are. Check out a bank close to where you work, where you live, or where you go to school. Does it offer what you want in a bank? If not, go to the next one. Try another bank until you're satisfied. You can contact the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada when you need help and information about banking. Toll-free number 866-461-3222, or there's an email address there that you can email. So that is it for the financial literacy, the banking basics portion of this, workshop today. I'm sorry that I went through it so quickly, but we got through the material as we should have. So.
Well, thanks, Karen. You definitely brought it back to the basics of banking, and I can absolutely appreciate that. One thing I didn't know is that you didn't have to have money to open up that savings account. That one got me. You got me there.
You got me there.
But yeah, it was a great, Ken says in the chat box, it was a great review. Thanks so much. One thing that I did note down here that I think is really important, and especially as Indigenous people, we're not always treated well or treated right or treated equally. So I really liked what you had to say about choose a bank. We're the ones who hold the power here. Choose a bank that treats you well and that treats you with dignity. So I really appreciated you saying that.
Dignity and the respect that we all deserve.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important.
I think that's really important. We do have a couple minutes. Does anyone have a question for our wonderful presenter? We got Ken and Levi in the room this afternoon. Any questions? And Kyle. I mean, you covered a lot of grounds. You brought some really thorough information.
Yeah, and I added a little bit of other things from other times. So when you are looking for, for loans, and what does that entail when you're, going out for loans and you're looking to see, what are your expectations? Because if you've never had a loan before, what's going to happen when you go in and you say, okay, I'm here to borrow some money, right? But, it's easy enough, as long as you know what your credit score is, you're the one in the power. If you go in with a great credit score, you go in knowing what the current interest rates are and knowing what your credit score is, you can go in and ask for a certain credit interest rate, and chances are you'll get it if everything's intact. So there's a lot of conduits to it. There's a lot of things that go along with it that make borrowing money important, and knowing all the things ahead of time before you actually go in there is really important. So we talk about that in borrowing money. We talk about getting your credit score. We talk about how to improve your credit score. All of those things that are really important, in today's day and age.
Yeah, that's great. And so for us, our responsibility also is as well. And we're connected to the internet. So we're connected to a lot of resources. So doing your homework too before going into that.
Absolutely.
Bank appointments.
Research the banks.
Yes, that's right. Did I hear correctly that you can, did I hear this or was I like wishing this? You can ask for a different interest rate? Did I
Yeah,
hear?
you
Really?
can. Yeah. So if you know what your credit score is and you know you have a good credit score and you know what the going interest rate is over at the Bank of Montreal, you go into the Royal Bank and you say, look, I've got this and I've got that, and I can get a loan at this pitch, but I'd really like to get it here. If you can give me a loan at 5%, I would get it here. Boom.
All
So
right. That's
yeah,
good. Hey,
little
good to
ways.
know. That's
It's good to-
empowering.
That's right.
And I believe the Bank of Canada is raising their interest rates.
Soon, yes, yep. So
That's
no time like the present if you're getting ready to jump off and do something, you know, it's better sooner than later because the rates are going to get higher.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
Unfortunately.
And then Levi said he didn't know, and I didn't know this either, that the banks had to cash government checks for free. I also did not know that.
Well, I'm glad that I helped somebody out today. That's awesome. It is true. It is true. So stop wasting your money, you know, taking it to the cash store or to wherever you cash it. When
Absolutely.
they're making money off you.
Absolutely. Okay, well, it doesn't seem to be any questions out there. You really brought some good knowledge. So thank you so much, Karen. It was a delight having you here. And everybody else, thank you for joining. I hope you feel a little more empowered about your banking and what you can ask for. And I really think it's about, you know, having that good conversation. So
Take
ask those
control.
questions.
That's
Yes.
right. Take
Yes.
control. And
Absolutely.
it'll do you good.
All right.
All
So
right.
have a good
We
rest
will
of
see
the day.
everyone next week, hopefully, and we'll talk about borrowing money, a matter of fact, next week. So yeah,
Awesome. All
hopefully
right. So I hope to
everyone
see you
there.
next week. Okay. Be well, everyone. Peace.
Hey, bye.